Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. You know things are heating up right now.
Yeah.
All over the world.
Yeah.
So we figured we would dive into Bob Woodward's new book, War.
Oh, yeah.
And
This is a good one.
it's a doozy.
Yeah.
And it covers two main conflicts that are going on right now.
Mhm.
The war in Ukraine and the escalating tensions in the Middle East.
Right.
So what do you think about this book?
Well, I think Woodward does what Woodward does best. You know,
Yeah.
he takes us behind closed doors
Uh-huh.
and he gives us this like fly on the wall perspective on these major global events.
And he doesn't just give us like the play-by-play.
No.
You know, he actually gives us like
Digs into the anxieties and the maneuver.
behind-the-scenes stuff,
Yeah.
the whispers, all of that.
Like, how close did we get to
Like-
nuclear war over Ukraine?
Right.
And what's really going on inside the White House?
Yeah. And what's Biden really thinking?
Exactly.
What's going on in his head? And how could these events impact us, you know, wherever we live?
Absolutely.
You know,
I mean,
yeah.
Woodward drops this bombshell right at the beginning about the fall of 2022. Remember that
Yeah.
U.S. intelligence estimated there was a 50-50 chance that Putin would use tactical nuclear weapons
Yeah.
if Russian forces were routed in Ukraine. 50-50.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people...
Just think about that.
Yeah.
How close we were
How close we were.
to a completely different world.
Yeah. Like, what do you think it was like in the White House
Oh, my God.
when that information came across the president's desk?
I mean, just the sheer terror.
Yeah.
The weight of that responsibility, realizing that the world might be on the brink of nuclear war.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
And Woodward goes on to unpack all the steps that were taken to try to prevent that disaster.
Right.
Like, we actually get to listen in on this phone call
Yeah.
between U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin and his Russian counterpart, Sergei Shoigu. It's a tense exchange
I bet.
where Austin, according to Woodward's sources, straight up says,
Uh-huh.
we know you are contemplating the use of a tactical nuclear weapon in Ukraine.
Wow.
If you did this, all the restraints that we have been operating under in Ukraine would be reconsidered.
Heavy.
Yeah. It sounds like he's walking a very fine line there,
He is.
trying to get the seriousness across without escalating things further.
Yeah, you have to be so careful with that kind of language.
Yeah.
Especially in a situation like that. And then Shoigu says, I don't take kindly to being threatened.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
So you can already feel the tension.
Yeah, ramping up.
Oh, yeah.
And then Austin just comes back with, I am the leader of the most powerful military in the history of the world.
Wow.
I don't make threats.
That's like straight out of a movie,
I know. It's like,
but it's real life.
yeah.
And it
really reveals the power dynamics going on.
It's not just a military standoff. It's like this clash of egos,
Yeah.
a battle of wills between two superpowers.
Uh-huh. And then, to make things even more complicated,
Yeah.
Russia starts pushing this dirty bomb narrative,
Oh, yeah. I remember this.
accusing Ukraine of developing this weapon.
Right.
Can you explain to the listeners
Sure.
what a dirty bomb is?
Okay, so a dirty bomb is basically a conventional explosive
Uh-huh.
laced with radioactive material. It's not a nuclear weapon in the traditional sense,
Okay.
but it's designed to spread panic and contamination, you know, cause chaos and fear.
So why do you think Russia would accuse Ukraine of having one?
Well, it could be a way to shift blame
Uh-huh.
to create a pretext for escalating the conflict.
If they could convince the world that Ukraine was the one
Right.
posing the nuclear threat,
Exactly.
then it might justify them taking more aggressive action.
It's a classic move in
Yeah.
the propaganda playbook.
It's chilling to think about how quickly a situation like this could spiral out of control. And Woodward quotes Biden as saying, Putin is not going to let himself be routed out of Ukraine without breaking the seal on tactical nuclear weapons. So we are stuck.
Man, that's heavy.
Yeah.
That quote really highlights this sense of paralysis, this feeling that the world is trapped in this dangerous game of chicken.
And this is where this concept of mutually assured destruction
Oh, yeah, MAD. The Cold War classic.
comes into play.
Right.
Can you explain that?
Okay, so MAD bad is basically the idea that if one nuclear power launches an attack,
Yeah.
the other one will retaliate. And it would lead to catastrophic consequences for both sides. It's like the ultimate deterrent.
Right. But why is that still relevant today?
Well, for decades, MAD bad was seen as this like ironclad guarantee that nuclear war wouldn't happen.
Right.
Because the consequences were just too horrific to even contemplate.
We're not dealing with the same world anymore.
Exactly.
We're dealing with a world where leaders...
Things are much less predictable.
Yeah. Might not always be rational.
Right.
Or they might be willing to gamble with those risks.
Yeah, like Putin, for example. So
it makes you wonder.
It does.
Is MAD enough to keep us safe in the 21st century?
That's the million-dollar question.
It's a question that keeps me up at night. And it's unsettling how close we came
I know.
to finding out the answer.
It's scary.
Yeah, and that's just Ukraine.
Right.
You know, Woodward's book reveals another powder keg
Oh, yeah.
we should be paying attention to.
The Middle East.
Yeah.
On October 7th, just a few weeks ago, the world watched as violence erupted between Israel and Hamas.
It was really sudden.
It was
That's brutal.
And Woodward really digs into how this conflict could escalate way beyond just Israel and Hamas and drag the entire region into war.
And this is all happening at the same time as the war in Ukraine. It's a perfect storm of global instability.
Right.
And I was really struck by Biden's initial response.
Oh, yeah.
He came out so strongly in support of Israel.
He did.
But then things took a kind of a turn.
Yeah.
Woodward reveals this heated exchange between Biden and Netanyahu, where Netanyahu basically demands the green light to attack Hezbollah in Lebanon.
Oh, wow.
And Biden pushes back hard, warning him that that would trigger a wider war.
It's like he's trying to hold everything together.
Yeah, trying to balance his commitment to Israel with the need to prevent an even bigger conflict. It's a really tough position to be in.
And Woodward gives us a glimpse into Biden's mindset.
Yeah, he quotes Biden using some pretty colorful language.
Oh, yeah, that quote about Netanyahu.
Yeah, the bad thing guy quote.
It's not every day you hear a president talk like that.
But it shows you the pressure he's under.
Absolutely.
It's a reminder that these aren't just abstract political events. These are real people making life or death decisions.
Right.
And the consequences are felt all over the world.
It's all interconnected. What happens in the Middle East affects everyone. And that brings us to another part of the book that I found really interesting.
Okay.
Woodward's insights into Trump's actions while he was in office.
Especially his dealings with Putin.
Right.
That part really raised my eyebrows.
Like the COVID testing machines.
Yeah.
In the middle of the pandemic.
When tests were so scarce.
And Trump sends them to Putin.
I mean, what was he thinking?
It's a head scratcher.
It makes you question his judgment. His priorities.
And then there are the alleged phone calls between Trump and Putin.
After Trump left office.
Secret conversations.
Why would he do that?
It's definitely unusual.
Now Trump's people deny it, but the Kremlin confirmed that Putin got the COVID tests.
So something's going on there.
Yeah, there's more to the story.
It's a tangled web.
It makes you wonder about the long-term implications. How does Trump's approach to foreign policy compare to Biden's?
It's like two different worlds.
Biden seems more cautious, more focused on diplomacy.
Right.
It's like we're at a crossroads, facing a choice between two very different paths.
One path leads towards cooperation, diplomacy,
a rules-based order. The other path is more uncertain, more volatile, potentially dangerous.
And Woodward's asking us, which path will we choose? Yeah, it's a big question.
And Woodward doesn't shy away from it.
No, he doesn't.
This book kind of feels like a culmination of his career.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
You know, all his years of reporting, decades of experience. It's like he's putting it all together.
Like a grand finale.
Yeah, and he dedicates the book to his Watergate partner, Carl Bernstein.
Oh, wow.
Which I thought was really touching.
It is.
Especially when you consider the parallels between Watergate and the events in this book.
Yeah, like the abuses of power, the cover-up.
The struggle to uphold democracy in the face of corruption and deceit.
Right.
And in both cases, it was investigative journalists who exposed the truth.
They played a crucial role.
They did. And there's this quote from Woodward that really stuck with me.
Right.
He says, "We do our business because you know this being a reporter is the best job in the world."
It's a powerful statement.
It is.
You can feel his conviction.
And it's a good reminder, especially now.
With all the misinformation out there.
Yeah, we need journalists like Woodward. People who dig deep and ask tough questions.
People who aren't afraid to speak truth to power.
Exactly. And it's not just about exposing wrongdoing.
Right.
It's about providing context, helping us understand these complex issues.
So we can make informed decisions.
Yes.
As citizens.
It's a roadmap for the 21st century.
It is.
It's a challenge. This is the world we live in. These are the stakes.
What are you going to do about it?
And then there's the conclusion, the most unsettling part.
Oh, yeah.
Woodward warns that the world is living on the edge of imploding.
That's a pretty stark warning.
It is. He doesn't offer any easy answers, but he leaves us with a sense of urgency.
A call to action.
So what do you think? What does the future hold?
I don't know.
What role can we play
It's up to all of us.
to shape that future?
We can't be passive observers. We have to be engaged,
Informed.
active participants.
We have to demand transparency, accountability from our leaders,
Support a free press. Engage in dialogue.
even with people we disagree with.
Yeah,
It's a tall order, but I think it's possible.
I do too.
And if you want to learn more, read Woodward's War.
It's a challenging read
That's essential.
if you want to understand the world.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been intense, but important.
Yeah, from the back.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged.